Huzzah, look at that, we're back. Right, well, we've established then that me and Jacko are 100%, but my internet isn't. So, we're back for the end of qualifying, thank goodness for that. Owen White here, Jacko alongside me. And, yeah, you are right, Tony's gone pole by a second, that's a bit disappointing.
As ever. That would be pole number 17 if he stays there. Obviously, Gareth Arnold, Jake to go. Johannes did invalidate. And to answer your question from about 8 minutes ago, Pete lost his duel against Deck.
Right, let me try and recap who's won duels then. This will be interesting. So, Jordan's won his duel against Ben Harrett. Leroy Hasselhager's won his against Mike Kelterborn. Jackocar's won his one against Pete Knighton. Jamie Griffiths has won his against Barry Baldwin. Ben Shaw has won his against Chris Waits. Johannes hasn't set a time because, according to Jack, he retired, and as you can see, one lap on his tyres, he must hit a wall somewhere, so Sullivan Lewis wins his by default. And Gareth Hall, if he can't beat Tony's lap time here, will also lose his duel because, yeah, Tony is setting clear of the field and he's already slower than the time. He's going to be the slowest of the lot, almost. Just gets him there to P10, so that is Tony winning his duel. The only laps we have left are for Jake, who has also, by the looks of it, retired, and Arnaud, who's going for yet another pole position. So Arnaud wins his duel as well, but it's all about pole position for him now. What happened to Jake then? Where's he?
I don't know, but Jake and Johannes are on the back row. Arnold chasing, I'm going to say it again, this will be 3 weeks in a row I've said this, chasing pole number 28. If he gets it, he equals Khalifa, the two-time champion. That means that record, there's then only one pole for Arnold away from falling, but can he match him tonight? Hopefully so, because we're getting bored of Tony being on pole every single week, aren't we, Owen?
We are a little bit, yeah. Luckily, it's not always win-win-win for him, because Arnaud did beat Tony in Silverstone last week. Will he beat him to pole today? Yes, he will!
Come on!
Arnaud de
Get
Grief
in there.
on pole position.
Is the record equalled? 28 pole positions. Khalifa El Khalifa and Arnaud de Grief. How's your internet?
Well, can you still hear me chit-chatting?
I can.
That's a good sign. We've had to do just a hard reset on the PlayStation, just hope that does the job. I'm also just going to check my party settings while I'm here, just hope none of it's reset on me.
Okay, I'll do the order then. It's Arnold on pole, then Tony Kirkpatrick from Ben Shaw. Jordan up in P4, great result for him. Jackocar 5th, and then Jamie Griffiths, who needs the points, he is 6th. Ben Harrett 7th, I think that's his best qualifying all season. Sullivan Lewis also needs the points, he's 8th. Leroy Hasselhager 9th, and Chris Waits is 10th. The rest of them, as Owen checks his settings, the rest of them, rubbish, we're not going to mention them.
Front row, 1 second clear of the field. That is... I don't know if I want to call it impressive or ominous, I suppose. I mean, and Jake isn't one of them. This is where Jake obviously won his most recent title. And, yeah, he's going to come from the back row today. That'll be fun to watch. That back row, Johannes, who did so well in Brazil from the back row, of course, along with Arnold in that day. And they finished 1-2 from P17 and P16 on the grid. And, yeah, Johannes and Jake are going to want to do a similar act of escapology from the back row today. Shocker, it's dry for the race. One of these days it will happen. It has happened in league races before, but we don't race here very often as it is. So to expect any exciting weather would be a little bit optimistic. But, Jacko, red flags are back. Have you noticed this? Red flags have been turned on to increased.
I did see a little tinkle about this earlier. The likelihood of one coming out, I think we used to run increased anyway when I was in charge for a little bit before it was then put down. Yeah, hopefully we get something. We love a bit of spice, don't we? And as you mentioned, red flags, in Cup Series history, we have only ever had 6 laps that we have not raced under, which were caused by red flags. That means we've had 3 red flag incidents in the Cup Series. The Kia Series, I believe, had 2 of them. So for a total of 10 combined laps over, I believe, around 9,000 laps or so.
Yeah, and it's got to be said that playing career mode on this, for instance, a red flag does tend to come out more often than a safety car, actually. If you're racing in career mode, one or two cars crash, say, they just go straight to red for some reason. It's very bizarre. Not even VSC, it just goes straight to red. So, I do wonder, are we going to see something similar to that? I remember when we raced here a long time ago, the very last ILR 8 race here, and that was over 6 years ago now. But it was here that the safety car got reintroduced because it had been broken the whole way through the F1 2019 cycle up until, about February when we were able to turn it back on again. And the chaos we saw in that race, I think there was only about 7 or 8 finishers that day. Ferry Ellis is in the points. Nearly, before he binned it right at the end, but he binned it on the safety car as well, which produced one of my favourite voice cracks back when I was still, having them. And, in general, when you turn on a race-changing feature for the first time in a long time, it tends to get used. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here as R9 comes around the final corner to park it on the grid. Only 5 drivers are going to start on the softs, 1 on hards, and the rest on mediums.
Hopefully we're in for a good race here. By the way, just very quickly going back to what you said about Jake O'Sullivan, he won his last championship here, his last of 3. That was a year and a half ago. Can you believe that? Let's see if he can repeat it tonight from the back row. P15, Jake O'Sullivan. Owen Wyatt, it's time.
It is indeed. And look at how Tony is pointing towards Arnaud de Grief. And, there's no Casper this week, so we don't get to see one of his lightning starts. He's going to take his place. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in Abu Dhabi. And already, Arnaud and Tony, they just go straight for the outside line towards turn 1. They aren't fighting each other. And Arnaud gets away in the lead. I think those two have recognised they've got such a big pace advantage. The last thing they need to do is have any incidents. But as they head up the hill, we got a little bit of side-by-side as Ben Harrett is being challenged by Jamie Griffiths. And it's so easy just for a little bit of contact here to cause a big accident in these early stages. A lot of moves down the inside of 5. Sullivan Lewis going through there on Jamie Griffiths, and there's a bit of front wing going off the road. I couldn't tell you who that's from. I suspected it's Jake O'Sullivan because it looked like very lime green, and it is Jake O'Sullivan who's broken that front end plate. It's not catastrophic damage. He should still be able to race with it as Gareth Hall nearly goes into the back of Leroy Hasselager. And Jake has more contact on this opening lap. But you know what? He'll still move into the top 10. So he's using his car as a little bit of a weapon. But it's getting him up the field so far. Tony, once again, just like we saw last week in Silverstone, chasing Arnaud. He got undone by the late safety car. Will he be able to make a move this week? As Ben, Risky and Jordan are all swapping places at turn 9. I'm suspecting Jordan might have had an issue there. But
oh no! Somehow Gareth managed to avoid Leroy and Jake. He braked late, he was distracted by them overtaking each other, and he's managed to get away with it without damaging his car somehow. Sorry to interrupt, Owen, but that's Gareth. Back up into P11, Arnaud leads lap 1.
I thought Johannes was going for the pits there for a moment, but he decided not to go for it. And I tell you what, Pete Knight, he had a massive moment out of the final corner. Lucky to still be in this race. He's got Bazza on the inside of him as we head out of turn 1. Throughout this race, we will attempt to keep you up to date with how the playoffs are looking. It's all about whether... Well, let's just say 6th place gives you 19 points. So it's going to take a lot for Casper to be knocked out this race, because that's the gap he has to Sullivan Lewis, who, it has to be said, is 6th. So, and then you got Chris Waits and other drivers, Gareth Hall and Ben Shaw, who, have less points to catch up. So we'll let you know how it goes as the race continues. But Ben Shaw will be safe. Gareth Hall in danger as it stands. Down there in P11. So he's got to do a little bit of work as we have side by side with Jamie Griffiths and Sullivan Lewis again through turn 9. Chris Waits is 9th, and there's that front wing damage. And Sully, well, that's made his life a whole lot more difficult, and we have yellow flags because Leroy has had a moment as well. I think there's a bit... Someone else has had a front wing issue through there, I think. So, a few incidents on the exit of turn 9. I really hope we see what we saw last week. Oh, and that's not what I was hoping to see, but there goes Pete Knighton into the wall. He'll recover. I think he got help there, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say that was his fault, but he's lost a lot of front wing there. I was going to say, I hope we saw what we saw last week, as in the tyre wear that we had in Silverstone. It was massive, and we've already got a lot of people into the pits. So I wonder if we are already seeing some of that, because the driver's going off at 9, Pete Knighton into the wall there, and a lot of people pitting for hards early on. This does look like it could be another tyre-limited track, which is what we like to see.
Yeah, Tony Kirkpatrick, one of those who pitted early. He comes out P11, leader of the pitters. Leroy recovering. I'm just watching a move. Jamie Griffiths on Ben Harrett for P3. Gets it done. No contact. Nice to see. Going back to lap 1, the only contact to make you aware of is what you already knew about. It was Jake O'Sullivan. He went from P15 to P10 in 1 lap, but is carrying that damage. He is running P5 at the minute, as Ben Harrett comes straight back through on Jamie Griffiths. Jamie Griffiths, of course, needs the points.
He does indeed, as we see. I thought he was going to go for it again there, Jamie Griffiths, but there's just no room there as he heads down towards, I think that's a turn 12, I want to say, and then all the twisty bits towards the end of the lap. Arnaud is going to start for another lap. Ben Harrett, currently the highest driver, still on softs, and he'll be into the pits, and Jake as well. So, yeah, 3 laps on softs. That's all they can do. That's less than last week. So that's not a good sign for them. But already the fields where we're seeing because of these pit stops is giving people a chance to have some free air. Particularly, Tony. You'd expect him to be able to pull off the undercut here on Arnaud, but I suppose Arnaud has that same free air in the lead. What'll be interesting is to see where Deck ends up, because he's also had that lap of free air, and he's going to be ahead of Ben Harrett here. Where did he start on the grid? He was relatively high up.
Sixth, I think.
He was 5th place on the grid. So, I mean, it's not unreasonable to say that Jackocar could find himself in the podium places after these pit stops come through, especially with the way Gareth's racing here with Chris Waits. And there's proper aggressive stuff, this. And, yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see Gareth just flat out bin it then, but he's kept it going. But yeah, Deck, definitely keep your eye on him. He's only 5 seconds off Tony, and considering that Arnaud's nearly 5 seconds ahead of Ben Shaw, that's around the area that you'd expect Deck to be in. He'll be around where Ben Shaw is.
Yeah, absolutely. Deck, actually, I was going to say, he's a serious threat to win the chase and put himself in the Championship 5. It has that sort of magic feeling about it, doesn't it? As Arnaud stays out another lap, but Ben Shaw has had enough. Jamie Griffiths and Gareth come through to complete lap 5. Chris Waits behind them will pit. There are yellow flags for someone.
It's Mike Kelterborn. That's a full safety car, and good timing, if he ever wanted it, for Ben Shaw. I think he's going to come out in the lead here. Let's see. He's got to come under the bridge. But there's nothing Tony can do. I mean, that's what I actually said at the race. He can break the speed limit to try and race to the pit outline, but even doing that isn't enough to keep Ben Shaw behind him. That's the luck of the draw, and it's all from Mike Kelterborn spinning off at the final corner. You can see he's missing his whole front wing. He's going to do the whole lap and then come back in. And once again, Arnaud de Grief has stayed out too long and lost the chance to pit.
He's doing a Casper.
Happening. Oh, yeah. Did we ever get an answer as to what that shield thing means?
No. Oh, hang on. Let me check. Whilst I'm...
No, we didn't. Oh, dear. Basically, Arnaud's got some shield graphic on his name. No, I'm going to guess that's because he's won a race in the playoffs. Does that just mean he's into the Championship 5? I don't know what that means. But I don't think if you've got a shield next to your name in the graphic that you can get knocked out. It could just mean that he's too many points ahead to get knocked out, because he is 40 points ahead of Sullivan Lewis. Maybe that's what that means. But, yeah, basically, Arnaud can afford to get this wrong, is what I'm saying. He can pit here, he'll come back out in the lead, but he'll have to pull that gap again. That's what's the difficult bit, because this is non-mandatory. And, yeah. How many times is this going to happen to him? Where's Deck then? Let's just work out where we're at, because obviously a few people gained advantage there. So Deck is net third based on those pit stops. That's where we expect him to be. Obviously Ben Shaw has jumped himself into the lead, and Tony now into second. So Deck is where I thought he'd be, just not the way I thought he'd get there. Chris Waits is into fourth net, which is bad news really for Casper. And, you know, Sully gets back into this. Everyone gets back into this, but Chris Waite's been a big winner. He's currently 17 points behind Casper at the minute. Basically, Casper is 19 points clear of the drop zone, but he's not here. So if all the drivers behind him, if Sullivan Lewis can outscore him by 19 points, Chris Waits by 17, Gareth Hall by 15, and Ben Shaw by 10, then that would knock... it's worth life. Why? Oh dear. Right, well, if it's going to happen at any point, it'll happen under a safety car, I suppose. But essentially, yeah, my point is that Gareth Hall's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So am I.
So are you.
So am I.
I mean, you lasted...
I lasted quite a while. I lasted so long that I thought the problem was solved. And it's not... Do you know what's mad? I did make a complaint to them last... Well, not a complaint, but it was more like a friendly suggestion to my landlord, being like, are you aware that this internet hasn't... There's no way of me wiring this up to my PlayStation, basically. And they're like, yeah, but it's massively fast. It shouldn't be a problem. I'm like, yeah, but I need it to be wired, because this will happen. And sure enough, this is happening.
Yep. And this is not good. We are in the business end of the season when everything happens.
But it was so fine last week, is what I don't understand. And our party's fine, so I don't get it. What's happening? It's very frustrating. I'm trying not to cry. I don't know. Oh dear. Right, back into the lobby we go.
Well, another lap complete under safety car. Arnaud de Grief is the race leader. He has led every single lap, even with the pit stop under safety car. It is non-mandatory. But as Owen alluded to just now, Gareth Hall in trouble. He's on the starting tyres from this race. And I'm just watching Arnaud, actually. I believe there's a new rule about no erratic weaving, and he just went side to side quite aggressively. I
can explain what that means. If you've been watching the F1 esports, and I don't blame you if you haven't been, because it's not been very interesting. It's been really, really dull. But essentially, what the drivers are doing with their Fanatec is they're mucking about with some wheel rotations, change it to like 160 degrees. Driver like automatically, because you've been disconnected.
Gone.
Yeah. Well, do you want to try and stream while I'm still alive, and then we can just continue this conversation then?
Sure. Safety car in this lap. I tell you what if I just record and then upload? That's the way I usually do it.
Yeah. Our stream is still live, like, so I can try and catch the restart, but
we're just coming up to the hotel here.
I just don't understand this flaming. Yeah, you do some radio commentary, and I'll let you know when I'm back in.
Okay, so the cars have passed under the hotel. The Yas Island Hotel. Arnaud de Grief is your race leader. 1 corner to go, and he's going to get this thing underway once again here in Abu Dhabi. As daylight turns to nighttime, we are back under green. Gareth Hall gets out of the way of Ben Shaw, who's immediately up to P2, and there's a gap that's been created to Tony Kirkpatrick. Jamie Griffiths running P5. He's actually going to try and attack Tony Kirkpatrick here as they head into turn 2 and then turn 3. Gareth Hall all over the place, making it as wide as possible. Jamie Griffiths thought about it, but has had to concede defeat as he now goes up the inside of Gareth Hall. Tony Kirkpatrick already through. Arnaud de Grief has a 1.8 second lead. He is so clear. What can Ben Shaw do then? Jamie is going to try and put a move on Tony Kirkpatrick, is he? No, he's not. Decker Cornley up to P5. Chris Waits is watching that battle from behind. Gareth has been mugged again. Don't forget, Gareth and Arnaud have to pit. Otherwise, there'll be another pit stop behind should a safety car come out. Looks like Johannes is going to get involved here. Gareth Hall is falling down the order halfway around this lap. Can he hold on to the inside? Yes, he. Johannes lifts, but